Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Diz, a show that gives you everything you need to know to help make your Disney vacation as magical as can be in just about 20 minutes. I'm your host, Jeff Coviello. With me each week is Disney Master Sandy from Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services. Sandy, how are you this week?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. I hope you're not hungry. Are you hungry as we start today?
You know, I'm not too bad. I knew what we were getting into tonight. It's actually one of our kind of new themes that I really come to love.
Well, about 3 weeks ago,
I snacked first.
Yeah, I was going to say, about 3 weeks ago, we introduced this topic. It was really kind of just to experience the foodie guides at Disney parks. We did a part 1 3 weeks ago where we traveled through certain parts of the year. Today, we're going to give you a part 2, and it really focuses on the springtime. We're going to really look at March and April because there's just a significant amount of foodie guide type of stuff. If you're a food person, this springtime is a really great time to visit Walt Disney World or Disney in general.
They just have so many what we call Disney holidays. Some of them are real, but the majority of them are made up Disney things. And we'll talk about all the special food for them. I really made a very conscious effort to leave out a lot of the discussion on the drinks because they create so many drinks, but for the most part, they put a little color in it. So it's the same drink that's red for Christmas, and it's purple for Pride Week, and it's red or green choice for Season of Force. So there are plenty of cocktails available for every one of these occasions, but we really are focusing on the unique food items that they're bringing to us.
So earlier I misspoke. At first I said Walt Disney World, but the reality is it's Disney in general. So we're going to start kind of in April and work our way backwards, as we said. So
we're doing the 2 parks coast to coast, and where we're starting is one of my favorite festivals that I don't know why they can't bring it to us at Walt Disney World.
Well,
this
they
is
can.
A West Coast only festival.
They're
at the
choosing
moment,
not to.
But a great one.
It's a choice, Sandy. Let's be fair.
It is a choice. And so the West Coast not only gets this awesome festival, but they get a lot more characters than we do for this festival.
Okay.
We miss out on the East Coast.
Yeah. So which one are we talking, and give us the time frame?
We're going to talk about Pixar Fest. And side note, obviously, Disneyland is heavy on Pixar. We know they have Pixar Pier. We did an episode a couple of months ago about the new Pixar Place hotel that opened.
Yep.
And so with just that Pixar Infest, 2 of the great characters that we haven't seen at World that they do have at Land is Bing Bong and Joe Gardner. Mm-hmm. But they take these couple of months and dedicate it to Pixar Fest. They bring out more characters every day, just heavy on that Pixar. April 1st, typically through the first week in August. This past year, they brought in 72 new food items.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's interesting, again, one of the big differences that I see in food for Disneyland versus food for Walt Disney World is Disneyland is churro obsessed. They can serve a churro more ways than you could imagine. Every festival has multiple churros. This one is no exception. 2 of them that I thought were kind of unique highlights. The blackberry churro, that's a Toy Story inspiration, rolled in blackberry sugar, served with strawberry banana dipping sauce.
Okay.
And then the Junkyard Jamboree churro, inspired by Cars. It's a chocolate espresso sugar-dusted churro with chocolate engine sauce and assorted candy parts. So they had like those gummy lifesavers to make wheels on it to make the churro more car-like.
That's funny. All I can think of when you mention these is the April Fool's post that I saw that they said they were doing a kale churro, which of course was never intended to be real. But when you see some of these takes on churros, you're like, I could see them trying that. I could see them attempting to get into that piece of the culinary market. But a lot of those sound interesting.
It is amazing to me how many different ways they serve churros. It is not just a la Costco style.
No. All right. So we got those two there. What else? What other things are memorable to you that stuck out to you?
Incredibly popular there, the alien macaroon, that oval shape with his little antenna. And of course, it wouldn't be an alien without three eyes to it.
Yeah.
A Pixar layer cake, a yellow layer, a blue layer, and of course, a red layer with white icing and a chocolate Pixar ball on top.
So obviously made to resemble that.
Made to resemble the Pixar ball.
Got it.
And then the other one I just talked a minute ago about, Joe Gardner. They do a half note jazz cake, which is a red velvet cake with a piano keyboard iced on top.
I mean, it sounds delicious. So give us a breakdown for those folks that are visiting Disneyland. Where are we finding Pixar Fest? Is it at Disneyland proper? Is it just a California Adventure? Is it between the two?
Pixar Fest itself, that's a great question. The fest itself is in California Adventure because that's where we find Pixar Pier. But they really do a great job. Disneyland Resort Park doesn't have a lot of the Pixar treats, but they still do call it Downtown Disney down there. Lots of treat options, and even in their 3 resorts, as well as a lot in the park.
Okay, so not Disneyland proper, so to speak, just California Adventure, Downtown Disney, some of the hotels, that type of stuff. That's where you're going to find a lot of what you just mentioned, those food items.
Most definitely. And as we mentioned in our last show, we do get a foodie guide before every festival or occasion that they deem. I've never seen them handed out or printed on property. You can often find them on Disney Parks blog, so that's a great resource if you're just looking for it. But you can also shoot us an email at info@ezdisez.com and ask us for any one of the festival guides, and we're happy to pass them on.
And everybody's salivating as you mentioned that, so they're excited to hear. What is the next thing that you wanted to mention today?
The next one is Earth Day, and obviously they celebrate that at both parks. And since it is Earth Day, it is a one-day thing for the most part. You can kind of tell by the number of treats they made. There are only 8 treats for Earth Day. 2 of them are on sale for an entire month, but 6 of them you can only get if you are at the parks on Earth Day. And obviously, the biggest spot that we always see that celebrated is, of course, in Animal Kingdom.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you remember seeing during that time?
So make sure you look at our social media, especially this week, because these food pictures are going to have you salivating. There is a raindrop chocolate tart cake with pistachio crumble, passion fruit gel, vanilla cheesecake, and a white chocolate mousse, all in one of those kind of little cookie shells that is just a work of art to look at and that incredible for the taste buds.
That is a lot going on right there. Chocolate cake, pistachio crumbs, a passion fruit gel. That's the one that has my eyebrows going up, as I'd like to see what that actually looks like.
And the combo, it kind of hits on my favorites. I love cheesecake.
Yeah,
I love pistachio. The passion fruit, originally when I used to see things in it, I started to avoid them, but I've really come to love that. And of course, it ends with bits of chocolate.
Yeah.
So
heck yeah.
What could be wrong there?
No, sounds awesome. All right, what else?
They call it the plant in the boot cake. It's a carrot cake with cream cheese mousse and a pineapple jam. And they've named it that. It has a Wally and Eva chocolate piece on the front, but it does on the top have a chocolate crumble with a boot with a tree growing out of it.
Cool. Very cool.
Little unique design element there.
Yeah, and listen, you mentioned it when you talked about Earth Day, that the big park that celebrates it is obviously Animal Kingdom. It's a really fun time to be in Animal Kingdom, right? There's so much that goes on inside that park that celebrates everything about what the earth has given to us and conservation and things like that. So these treats aside, I know tonight is really all about these treats, but kind of a shout out to try to be there on that particular day because it's a really cool and unique experience.
It is, and they do some special things that day. There's typically a giveaway to all guests, so a little bit of an added bonus if you can make it that day.
All right, where are we going next?
We're going to another why don't they give us this on the East Coast holiday. It is the Season of Force.
Okay.
Obviously Star Wars themed, April 5th to June 2nd at Disneyland, in Disneyland Park, because that is where we find Batu. Again, not to sidetrack from just the food, but I will for a minute. Season of Force includes Star Wars nights. Yeah. So I don't know why we don't have them on the East Coast, but a great reason for anyone who hasn't been out west, Jeff, who I keep saying you all need to get to Disneyland. Maybe you're a Star Wars fan and this is what's going to get you there.
Well, and in that time frame that you have there, it's April till June. So you've got May the 4th that falls in that.
You've got May the 4th, and for most of you with school-age children, you probably have a spring break.
There you go.
So perfect timing. If you've got a child graduating college, probably happened at the end of May, you can also sneak this in as a college trip.
So Season of Force is what we're calling
Season of Force.
Okay. How many items?
Unique food items.
Oof.
A shout out to one that I think is just the ultimate in creativity here. We don't see a lot of them done with ice cream, but they do an ice cream dish with 2 mini cinnamon buns on the side of the scoop of ice cream.
It's Leia's hairdo.
Princess Leia ice cream.
That's great. It's Leia's hairdo. I love it.
They sell pretzels that are lightsabers. So they're covered in a light chocolate with a black chocolate handle, and then the chocolate is rolled in various colors of the big sugar crystals. So you can get a red lightsaber, a blue, a green. You can have a little pretzel war there.
Cool.
Lots of fun.
Nice.
Then they have a Wookiee parfait, which was really cute. A chocolate sponge cake with a chocolate pudding and a caramel mousse on a chocolate coffee crust with a chocolate pearl.
There's a lot of chocolate going on there in this Wookiee parfait.
I was just going to say, chocolate. Make sure you get a bottle of water to go with that one.
Let the Wookiee win. Okay,
what
else?
Up really cute in a clear glass, so a lot of fun with that one.
Very cool. Okay, what else we got?
This one, in addition to all the food items, they've got a substantial number of red and green drinks, as well as specialty popcorn buckets and specialty Star Wars plastic sipper cups that you can get. So lots of extra food/souvenir items available here.
Well, and those popcorn buckets, you know this better than anybody. Forget about Star Wars theme, just no matter what they are, people go crazy for that. So that'll be something that people will be lined up for, I'm sure.
As an aside, I always collected popcorn buckets. I've probably dwindled my collection down to about 40 of them that are sitting in my kitchen as
only
we speak.
40? Only 40?
The tough thing for me now, to be honest, is my 40 are 2 big stacks in one of my cabinets because they're all those, tall but round buckets.
Sure.
I love a lot of these new shape ones. I don't love the big lines for them, but again, one of the things at Disneyland, you can mobile order the majority of the souvenir items, but these unique shaped popcorn buckets, I do stand in the park and debate for quite a while because as much as I want one, I have no idea where I'm going to put it when I get home.
You need a whole cabinet for it is what you need, a whole wing of your home. The popcorn bucket wing.
That is so true.
If anybody, there's very few listeners that have been to Sandy's home, but if you've been to Sandy's home, you know that that's not that far of a stretch that she would need a wing to put anything that she may have brought back from Disney World or Disneyland. So
just a few things. And if I didn't bring them back, I may have purchased some items on eBay or from one of the places that get Disney furniture and banners after they've spent their time at the park. I do have a thing or two.
Well, you can't eat those though. So let's stick to the things that you can eat. And I know that one of the things that we've talked about on this show a lot, we've given entire episodes donated to these, are the festivals that they have in the spring.
So the spring festival time is pretty unique. If you're a Walt Disney World person, we know that March through May is Flower and Garden Festival.
Yep.
But going on concurrently, though not quite as long, usually March through mid-April, is Food and Wine out in California. So if you're all about the food and wine, hit up Walt Disney World late August, September, October, early November, and then head out to California in the spring. You can get 2 food and wine festivals.
It's that. I mean, who can go wrong there?
And obviously, as you said, we've dedicated whole shows to it because there are so many food items, and the festivals, in addition to the food items, obviously have a lot more with entertainment and specialty things that we've discussed.
Yeah, but I encourage you, go back to the history of the shows, find those particular episodes that we've talked about, some of those, because each year we kind of break some of that stuff down. So if you want a significant review of those festivals that have passed, we have that for you. So we're not going to break those down tonight, but I think it's important for you to know the timing, as Sandy had indicated. So where do we go next?
Walt Disney World, after the success of the giant gingerbread house in the Grand Floridian that has its own little store sold out of it, created an Easter cottage. Typically that goes up the very beginning of March through the beginning of April. It will shift a little bit later if we've got one of those odd years where Easter falls like the middle of April.
Sure.
They do a pretty limited number of items there. Typically they've had 5 items. A really cute bunny chocolate flower pot. It's got the pot, some jelly beans in the top, and a bunny popping out. Lots of sugar to make sure nobody sleeps that night.
Yeah, because, we need that. Every parent is like, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A fruity cereal Mickey Pop. I guess it is not officially Fruity Pebbles, but that's what it looks like to me. Made into, a kind of a new slant on a Rice Krispie treat because they're so colorful.
Sure.
An Easter treat box with everything from carrot cake chocolate box bark to a confetti pop, a meringue nest, marshmallow pops. Lots of fun there. Easter marshmallow pops, bunnies, brown dirt cups, layers of chocolate cake, chocolate buttercream, and cookies and cream. Again, these are all unique items, all in the Grand Floridian lobby.
Got it. So especially for those folks choosing to stay there at that time, really, really convenient. If you're not there and you're on the monorail line, or if you're at the Magic Kingdom, worth a stop over to see what they've got.
And now with 1900 Park Fair reopened, it's a great before or after your character dinner option.
Yeah, heck yeah. That sounds great. All right, what else would we like to talk about today before we say goodbye?
So the last one we're going to talk about is Women's History Month. And that is March. That is a real calendar thing. I have to say, out of all the festivals we've talked about, this one leaves me a little baffled.
Okay, tell us why.
So there 23 food items were created for it this year.
All right.
They made a point, which we never know kind of the origin behind these creations, but for this month, they tell us who created them all. They are all done by Disney chefs and only by female Disney chefs.
Interesting. Okay, so no hidden Mickeys. We know who did them.
No hidden Mickeys. We know who did them. The first one kind of seemed a little motherly to me. It was called the Feathered Friends Mousse Dome. It was a lavender white chocolate cake with these multicolor kind of feathers coming out of it. It seemed symbolic, the mothers in the nest and the whole thing.
Sure.
As I looked at the rest of them, the only thing that kind of brings them to Women's History Month to me is that they were done by a female.
Okay.
Because otherwise, I don't know what makes salmon and orzo about women's history, or a special hamburger with jalapeno jam and Napa cabbage slaw and cilantro.
Yeah.
It all sounds good, but it doesn't artistically tie in like we see every other theme. But I think it's great that they are showcasing all of their female chefs. And kind of as a side note, I was just talking to somebody a couple of weeks ago and I touched on this slightly when we did our Food and Wine show, the number of chefs that Disney employs beyond what you see in restaurants is shocking to me.
It's incredible.
Just the number. They all work all year long as chefs, not just in the festivals, but creating these designs for things that are outside of regular restaurant, whether we're talking fast food or sit down, but having the opportunities to be in test kitchens and really be creative with all of these specialty treats. So the culinary team is an incredible feat right next to Imagineering and what they produce. It is more than you would think about at first glance. So great job to all of them.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm excited that we've gotten back through March. For those folks that are hanging on what's coming next, don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging. I promise you, we're going to go through the rest of it. But there was so much packed in here. I thank you for taking the time to break it down, because there are a lot of foodies that listen to this show, a lot of foodies that like to go to Walt Disney World, people that know that it's not just chicken fingers and hamburgers. And these are some things that I think are definitely going to stick in people's memories, and they're going to go back and try to find, myself very much included. So thank you for giving us the detail of what it is. I appreciate it, and have a great week.
My pleasure, and I hope you can all find some snack in the cabinet now that holds you over as much as all these great choices.
And that's a wrap this week on Let's Talk Dis. If anyone you know could benefit from this or any show, please share, have them like and subscribe. And don't forget to reach out to the folks at Easy Dis by Instant Impressions Travel Services for any Disney destination planning. Make it a great week. And as always, keep making memories.